everyone, Pot ISM. Welcome to part 3 of our MPC Airfix 1/16 scale AC Cobra video build. Today we're going to do up our interior, picking our colour, getting some parts painted, chromed, stuck together, some decals, and then that will lead us on to finishing the build in part 4. So as per the last video, not many product links popping up in the corner, taking far too long to do. All the products are linked in the description down below, so if you see anything you can click down there and generally find it what it is. And I'm trying to tell you more what I'm using as well, so hopefully that will prove more useful and save me a good hour and a half of editing, because it does take quite a while adding all those thumbnails. Right, let's dive straight in and get cracking with today's part. Everyone, please subscribe to the channel, click the bell notifications, get notified of our latest videos, give the video a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and leave a comment. I do read and appreciate every comment you guys and girls leave behind. I may not reply to them all, but they are all appreciated. And there's a link in the description of the video that takes you to a big long list of all handy videos and a lot of the products I use in my videos. Okay, so straight in with a bit of primer today. We've got some decanted Tamiya grey spray primer that's been thinned about 20% with Tamiya lacquer thinner with retarder. We've got our 0.35 apex, we're about 18 psi, and we're going to put a few light coats down on the blue plastic styrene of the body in preparation for our flocking. So we're not actually going to paint this at all, but I want a lighter colour because we're going to paint this in a reddish enamel colour, and I don't want the blue to be showing through it all. So a couple of light coats of this, we've got a nice primer coat down, let it dry, and then we can hit it with our flocking. So I do really like the Tamiya spray primers, especially decanted. Thin them a little bit, they spray really nice, they dry super fast, and a nice hard wearing finish as well. So horse of course is choose your weapon and use it for a reason. For me, purely because I'm putting enamel down and brush painting it and mucking around, I thought for speed I'll use this. So primed underneath as well, because you can see this interior tub through the ladder chassis on the car. So I thought we'll prime it up and we'll paint it black after we've got it all flocked as well. As you can see, we've got the interior and the boot or trunk primed up. We've masked off our center console where the gear surround is, because we don't want that being flocked. And we've got some Revel matte red enamel paint with a Tamiya flat brush, and we're spilling it everywhere. We're doing this outside today because it was a nice day and it saved me getting flock all over the house. And as you'll see in a minute, there's more flock on the surface than on the actual part we're trying to flock. So probably a good job I did this outside. It's unbelievably messy flocking, it really is, but the end result is so good, it is worth the mess. But literally by the time we've finished it, both these parts, there's more flock on the surface out there than on the model part itself. So pretty generous amount. I like to go all the way around and then go back around because it does start to dry quite quick. The matte does dry quicker than the gloss, so I like to just go around, make sure we've got it on. We don't want it pooling everywhere, but we do want a good enough surface. And then we've got our tea strainer, load up of our Scale Productions burgundy red flock, and we're just going around, we're shaking it, shake it like a Polaroid picture. There we go, load it up, flocking hell, there we go. And then just give it a tap over the top like playing the maracas. Shake it, tap it, wherever works, and just get that flock to float and land in our enamel paint. Stick to it, and then we tap off the excess like so, and check we've got all the coverage done. Exactly the same on the interior tub, lots of different angles to get, so make sure you're getting all those little recesses and gaps and everywhere. As you can see, we got a lot of flock on the surface there. A lot of it's on the kitchen paper, so we can grab it and reuse it, so it's not the end of the world. But yeah, mental note, put down a bigger piece of newspaper next time. And again, tap it off, drop it, whatever you need to do. Get as much excess off as possible, and then reflock. And that should do. So yeah, it's very messy. It's a bit time consuming. It does go bloody everywhere, so I'd avoid doing it in your house, especially in your cave, personally. Right now, so a few chrome parts inside. These have been primed in Mr. Surfacer. Didn't bother with a gloss black, because I thought, let's just try a normal black primer. So we've got our UMP Apex, 0.2mm needle, 18 psi, and we're just going to put a couple of coats down on these parts. So we've got the Molotov chrome here. This is the Molotov refill. It does need a wet coat, but I like to put a lighter coat down first. So we go around each part, get all the angles, and then we come back and put a wet coat on at the end. And there we go, there's our steering wheel, looking good. And this is the refill. And at the tip, if you've got your left in the airbrush, squeeze it, tip it upside down, and grab the excess out. Now we've got a Focus from Gravity detail set, spray paint set. And this is for a light white leather. There's instructions, you want to read them, pause it. Pretty straightforward. Now, I did originally pick a different colour. And this is the colour we're going to go with. So I went with a tan. You can see it in the background. We have already sprayed it. I looked at it on the car, had all the footage, and thought, nope, don't like that colour. It's too dark. That's the colour there. So I thought, yes, I want a lighter colour. So we're just going to reset, respray it, and start over again. So this is the base colour. This needs spraying at about 30 psi. And this is the actual base colour of the leather. We then got a darker and a lighter shade you can see in the background. Now this must be a lacquer solvent base paint, because it cools out to spray at a higher pressure and to clean out with lacquer thinner. So a couple of coats of that, and then we come in with our shade, darker tone, and we're going to get all the lower areas again for our Apex, 18 psi, 0.2mm needle. We're going to get all those areas where naturally light would not gather, so a little lower part, little recesses and what have you, and just spray it in there. Not going mad, we don't want to completely alter the tone of the seat, but we're doing it enough to add a bit of tonal interest. So we're going to do that to all the parts, and obviously working away from the bottom to the top. We'll add a shade at the bottom and then rather lighter coat at the top to give the effect of light hitting it from above. And then what we'll do, once we're happy, we'll blend it all together with the base coat and hopefully get an interesting looking seat. We'll see. Now we've got the light tone, so we're going to hit all the high areas and all the sides and the centre of the seat and try and blend in that darker colour just a little bit. Not massively, but we just want to give the impression of light hitting the raised areas, leaving the recessed areas and the bottom of the seat darker to give the impression that light isn't getting down there as much. So it's a case of carefully going round. Obviously, if you screw it up, you can start again. Just put the base coat down and start over. But I'm not all that fussed because I can blend all this in with the base coat at the end. So I'm just adding a bit of a highlight to the centre. Obviously, the way you do this is up to you, personal interpretation and all that. So you might think you want it lighter, darker, more weathered. Only you can decide that. But at the end, I'll come in with the base coat. And I'm just going to lightly blend it all together so we can just see the darker shade and just see the lighter tone. And that'll give us a nice bit of a base for weathering on the seat. We don't want it too strong anywhere at all. And obviously we don't want to lose the effect either. Like I say, if you do have any issues, you can start again. Just respray the base colour and away you go. You could even think one step ahead and think the driver's seat will be more worn than the passenger because they are inherently used more. And you could weather the driver's seat a little bit more and so on and so forth. Again, this is all interpreted by you and how you want it to look. So they're looking quite good, quite happy with those. We'll finish off all those other parts. Now, I wanted to try something, so I've got a real dark brown oil wash. So I've popped it on this seat, and we're going to leave that to dry, and then we're going to put a lighter colour on the other seat, leave it to dry, and see where I prefer the look at. Spoiler alert, I prefer the darker. So we do have to redo one seat later, but this has been drying for a while now. Not that long, it's still wet, but it's on there. As you can see, using a bit of tissue to just wipe it away. And that's leaving it all in those recesses, all the creases on the seat, everywhere. It does add quite a nice bit of depth. I want to remove some of it, so we're going to get in there and get as much out as we can. And now I've got like a ochre colour. This is an oil paint. We mix it with a bit of odourless mineral spirits. Give it a little bit of a mix up. I probably had a little bit too much oil paint in there. So the blob we've got on the brush here, we'll get rid of. That'll do. That's perfect. So we'll get rid of that. That can go. We'll just keep mixing this up. And then we'll apply this to the seat. Like I say, I've let this dry overnight, both of them. Come back the next day and thought, I much prefer the darker tone. So we've gone with the darker tone. And then we've dry brushed it, as you'll see in a minute. So again, it's in your eye. How you see it is in your mind's eye. At the end of the day, there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's literally the way you foresee doing it. Again, I've gone all around everywhere with this wash, and we will change it up later. But the dashboard, door cards would word differently than the seats. So it's one of those. Just using the brush there, drying the brush off, and then dabbing it onto any areas where the oil paint has pooled. So we're not left with huge amounts of colour in one area. Now we've got some aqua gloss through the 0.2mm Apex 18 psi, water-based clear coat, and we're going to clear our chrome. That way we can handle it, get some decals on there. The Molotow is very resilient once it's cleared, but picking the right clear coat is very important. For me, on recommendation of a few friends, aqua gloss is my choice, but it's up to you which way you want to go with that one. There's a multitude of clears out there. They're not all going to work with it. Trial and error will tell, but the aqua gloss does work really well. Now, we primed underneath here earlier. Now we've got some Mr. Surface to black, and we're going to very, very carefully paint all this. We'll use the angles to keep the paint away from the interior. Still not got our lid on. As you can see, we've got a lot of paint in that cup, and it's flapping around everywhere in the breeze. But hey, we like to live like to live dangerously, don't we? So if we spill paint, we spill it. Head on over to www.umpretail.com and help support mine and Lee's business, because without alternate modelling products, there would not be any international scale modeler, and all the videos we put out there, and the Facebook page, and the forum we run. We stock loads and loads of modelling products, including all our own products of our Apex airbrush, our pigments, primers, sanders, thinner and cleaner tools, our wonderful storage system, polish system, and weathering washes. We also sell modelling tools, paints, model kits, glue, solutions, fillers, weathering products, aftermarket, and of course, international scale modeler merchandise and gift cards. And all orders made before 12 midday get next day delivery in the UK, and international orders are shipped within 48 hours. Right, we painted up the rest of our interior parts in Surface of black. I'm using the Molotow chrome pen here just to paint the foot pedals. I thought on this, probably going to be chrome. My choice to be chrome. Like I say, this is your model. How you envisage it is how you should build it. There's no right or wrong way to do this. So I'm just applying the chrome pen carefully on the actual pedals themselves. Work really well. I'm a big fan of this Molotow stuff. It is brilliant. A lot of people are saying it's very delicate and you can't handle it. If you're going to handle it, aqua gloss it. It's perfectly fine. You don't lose that much of the shine. On parts like this that I'll never touch, this is more than adequate to use. Now, next morning, we'll wipe it off the wash. So this is the lighter tone that we did, the ochre oil wash. And shock horror, I have no watch on. I have no watch. Shocker. So cleaning it up, can't really see the wash. Looks a bit crap. Thinking, nah, don't like that. Right. Let's chuck on the darker wash, and then we're back in business, as you can see here. Much better with the darker wash. Really brings out the creases and what have you that are built into the seats. They are quite nice textured seats, to be fair. So I might as well make the most of it and get them weathered up. Now I've got the light wood colour we use for our steering wheel, and I'm just dry brushing over the entire seat, just add a bit more tonal interest to see how it looks, and I'm liking it. But we still need to chuck a wash on that seat on the left. So we'll do that off camera. We'll let it dry off camera, and we'll come back to that in a day or so. So again, we're just applying the wash exactly like we did the day before. And as you can see, it catches all that nice texture on that seat. Really nice leather texture. So we'll let this dry. That will highlight it. We'll do exactly what we did with the other seat, and we'll have a pair of matching seats. Got the same AK light wood colour. It's a very close match to the seat, so I thought I might as well do the gaiter around the gear shifter. So a bit of careful brush painting, couple of coats of that, does the job on that really well, and a bit of oil wash in there to weather up a touch. And then the same colour, we're going to paint up the base colour on our steering wheel, and we'll dry brush it as we've done in quite a lot of our builds lately, using the darker AK brown. It's a case of carefully brush painting, avoiding the chrome where we want to keep it. And like I said, we'll come with the dark tone, we'll dry brush it a little bit and try and add a kind of wood grain effect to the steering wheel. But I'm liking the steering wheel. There's two choices in the kit. One was on more modern steering wheel, which I don't think really suited the car at all. So opted for this one. Leave the chrome spokes inside. We'll paint the centre black. And once we get the wood effect on it, I think this will look quite good and it'll match the rest of the interior of the car. So these AK brush paints, the wood set, very, very good wood set. Really does paint on really well. Covers well, dry brushes nicely, so it works really well. And then while that's drying, we'll paint the boss in the centre of the steering wheel, very carefully with some model colour black. And then before that dries, we'll clean up any excess paint, and we use a pointed cotton bud to clear out the Shelby logo in the centre. So again, model colour, thinned with a drop of water, brush paint's absolutely beautiful. Like I say, cotton bud, one of the Tamiya round ones to get most of it off, and then one of the Tamiya pointeds to just finish off. We'll clear that Shelby Cobra logo from the centre. There you go, you can just see it coming off. We get it before it dries, it comes off real easy. There we go. Right, decals. 40-year-old MPC decals are nasty. Not only is there a huge overhanger carrier film, but they also let out this really nasty looking white fluid from what I'm guessing is the adhesive, which I think is cornstarch on these, if I remember right. It is. So we're going to get rid of all that excess carrier film, a bit of the water. I've wiped the decals off, so we've probably lost all the adhesive power of the decal, but once we get it in place, hit it with a decal solution, it'll melt it in place and it'll be just fine. But I was quite surprised these didn't fall to bits, to be honest. They're 40 years old. They came off the backing paper really easy and went down absolutely spot on. Reacted well to normal and strong UMP decal solutions. And a bit of manipulation to move them around. It's not too bad. So we go speed out and a rev counter. Pop those in place. So the white dials on the chrome with the white leather looks really good. So you can see we've added a darker wash to this dashboard now as well. And there we go. There's our ultimate decal solution there. This is the normal. I'm just going to apply a little bit. No, it's my head. Oh. Apply a little bit of it in there. Leave that for a bit. Let it do its magic. While we're doing that, we've got some Airscale instrument panel decals for aircraft. That's all we've got, and they work really well. So I picked 4 or 5 of the smallest ones in the set. And we're just going to place them in completely random order. We have no set, whatever these are. I have no idea what they are. Airspeed indicators, no idea. Whatever they are, you can't see them close up enough. From a distance, they look good. So we're going to fill all those little instrument bezels in with these. Again, these go down really nice little decals. And just visually, adds a little bit of interest to the eye. Now, contemplated drilling these out, adding some toggle switches. I had 3 spare from the Caterham build I did ages ago. And I thought, you know what, let's do it. So, by eye, I lined up my pin vise. A little dab of Loctite CA glue in each hole. Then we get our turned metal toggle switches, which I think, off the top of my head, with some Top Studio, but I might be wrong. They've been in my spares pot for ages, and I thought I might as well use them on this. The 12 scale, but you're not really going to notice. It just adds a little bit of visual interest to the dashboard. You can see we're taking the instrument binnacle chrome part back out for now, so we drilled it. And there we go, just drop it quickly. And there we are. So yeah, a little bit more interest. Get the instruments back in. We've got our Edding paint marker pen. And we're going to paint some of those chrome buttons in black. Again, just to add a bit of visual interest. We've got our steering column in place as well. Glued in place with a bit of CA glue again. Just put that to one side to dry for a bit. Pop our accelerator pedal and brake pedal in. Little dab of Loctite Perfect glue. We'll hold that in just nice. There's a little recess right down the back. So you can pop that in, line it up, make sure it's all straight. And just move it as needed. They're tucked right under there. You're not going to see them all that well, but at the end of the day, it's in there. We know they're there. Right, so the darker shade of the AK wood now is going to dry brush this on, darken the steering wheel up a little bit. Like I say, it's not going to be quite dark enough, but we'll sort that out later on. So a case of lightly dry brushing all over, trying to avoid the chrome if you can. It does wipe off. Being a water-based paint, it's pretty easy to get off. Most of the time you can just use water and it'll come off. We're just going to dry brush it, make sure you get the front and back all underneath, and try and add a nice wood effect. It does work really well on this, and it did look good. Just wasn't quite dark enough for my liking. So there we go. This is still we're glued in place. Bit of CA glue. Make sure it's straight. It's looking good. We've got another button to glue on one side, and there's our handbrake glued in place as well. Again, a little dab of CA glue. Carefully line it up, and we're good to go. Quick test fit of the seat to make sure that does still actually fit in there with that there, and it does absolutely perfectly. Now the seat belts, these are the kit supplied seat belts, and they're a bit nasty. So I thought, right, let's have a look. They're only a lap belt, so I thought we'll cut off the buckle, like so. The plastic buckle using our Tamiya side cutters. We'll grab some ribbon, and we use ribbon on one side and a bit of photo etch on the other. Now, these were spare from the Skyline, so we might as well use these. These are actually anchor points for the belts, but they kind of look like the bits that click into these belts, so they'll do for me. And then we've got some 3mm black ribbon. We'll pick this up, we'll get it on. Slot it on, a little bit of double-sided tape, and job done. So let's get double-sided tape on, get the buckle where you want it, fold it over, make sure it's all nice and straight, and then give it a bit of a squeeze, and there we go, that's done. So 2 of these to do, really simple, really quick, and then we'll get some double-sided tape and attach them to the seats. Now this is the plastic buckle we cut off the other one. Again, just double-sided taped onto a bit of black ribbon again. And then a length of double-sided tape on the back. And then we'll stick it in place and cut off the excess as required. So yeah, a lot of horsepower in this car to have lap belts. I know these claimed a lot of people's lives back in the day. I wouldn't fancy entrusting my life in a very light car with a very small roll bar and lap belts. But they must have been, and must still be, pretty thrilling to drive. Yes, must be quite an exhilarating ride, that's for sure. So there's one side stuck on. We'll do exactly the same with the other side of the belt. Just a length of double-sided tape. Take the back off. So this is a lot neater than using CA glue. I found it can seep through the ribbon as well. So I do like using the double-sided tape on the belts. Just to get it in place, fold the edge over, take it right down to the bottom, get your scissors, your cutters, whatever you use, and cut it flush to the bottom of the seat, like so. Then we'll grab our Molotov pen again, and we'll just paint that plastic part of the buckle to give it that chrome look. There we go. Like I say, huge fan of these Molotov chrome pens. They are superb. Just once you've got it on, don't touch it because you'll put a fingerprint in that for days afterwards. So you want to be doing parts you're not going to touch. One seat's glued in place. The other seat, we're going to run a bead of CA glue all around that mounting point. Try and be as neat as you can. Doesn't matter if you go over a little bit because the seat will hide it. There we go. Be confident on your placement. Line up the front. Then slide it back. Make sure it's all straight. And that you're happy with it. And there we are. And then a quick test for the dash. Doesn't actually sit there on the car, it sits further up on the actual car body, but it's looking good. Like the colours, they're really starting to come together. Now, this is the darker colour. This is Vallejo model colour, German cam, black brown. This is the colour I used to do chipping on armour. So it's a nice dark brown. So what I thought I'd do is we'll dry brush all over this, give it a nice dark wooden touch, which I think suits the interior a little bit better. And again, just dry brush on, load up the brush, wipe off as much of the paint as you possibly can. And just lightly dry brush over the whole of the steering wheel. Make sure you get the front, the back, underneath. You've got to be pretty careful you get it everywhere. And don't get it all over your dashboard. We've glued this in place, unfortunately, before we changed our mind to do this. Just one of those things, not the end of the world. Now, it was a little bit dark, so I thought quickly before it dries, I'll grab a cotton bud, we'll moisten it, and we'll wipe off some of the paint. And it left a very nice textured, real wood grain look behind, so quite lucky, really. So we're not removing it all, we're just removing little bits and bobs here and there. Again, we're going all around the steering wheel. And it really did give quite a nice effect. Now, a quick test fit of this. Now, this is where this kit is going to be a challenge, because the body is a bit of an iffy fit. So this clicks in place. There's 2 locator points, but this goes onto the body first, and getting those 2 locator points in place is quite tricky. So in part 4, where we finish it, I think this might fight us a little bit. We'll see, because to get the front ride height correct seems to be pretty difficult. I can get the rear quite well, but the front's a little bit trickier. So we're going to play this one by ear and see how that goes. Now, easiest way to get the interior in, slot it through the top, slide it forward. There's 2 locator points where it stops, and then push it forward, and there we go. One seat slightly further back than the other, but I guess the real car would be as well. It's not the end of the world. The red carpet looks really good against the burgundy ruby red body. And our boot / trunk, again, looks really good. Very happy with that flocking. Come out really well. And then a quick test fit, the dashboard. Look at that. Looks absolutely beautiful. Really can't wait to get this kit finished. Happy with that carpet colour, interior colour. Wood on the steering wheel looks good. Can't really see it that well there, but it does look good. Dashboard looks good. Like I say, the most troublesome part of this is coming up. We've got loads of chrome to do in the next part, and we're going to get all this body together and get it all to line up and sit right. But that's a job for next time. So let's go back to me. So that's where we're at today. That's it. Interior's done. Happy with the colours. Different change of colour on the seats. Happy I changed the colour. I think the lighter cream looks a lot better with the ruby red, with the chrome and wood accent to the interior. I think it looks pretty well. As I said, it's a 40-year-old kit. It seems okay so far. As I say in the video, I think the challenge is going to come in the next part, which is already underway. I've got all the other bits and bobs in the spray booth. Gloss black ready for chrome. And there's final assembly. And I think this is where it's going to fight us a little bit more so, getting the chassis mated to the body, because there seems to be some ride height difference in the front and rear. But we're not going to know until we get on with it. So part 4, we'll start with us polishing all the body up, getting that all sorted. All the brackets for the bodywork, the hinges, now they've all been painted off camera in ruby red. So they're ready to go as well. So once we've got the chrome work done, we'll show the chrome in as well. We can go with final assembly and hopefully get this project finished to a pretty good standard. Quite excited to get this one out of the way. It seems to have dragged on forever, even though really it hasn't. So we'll be back very, very soon. I'm just going to crack on and push through this build. I was going to go back and do another video on the BMW M6, but I thought, no, let's push through. Let's get this one done off the bench, and then we can concentrate back on that BMW. As always, if you're watching, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification. Please leave a comment. I do read and appreciate all those comments. I might not reply to you, but I always heart them and really do appreciate all the feedback. It really does drive me forward in the builds. As always, check out International Scale Model Facebook page and forum, umpretail.com. my Paul ISM page, where you can see all my personal modelling work, and of course Live the Bench page and the Off Air Hangout group. And one question, if you've got this far, should I do all the trim, so the bumpers, the roll cage, headlight surrounds, mirrors, the pins to hold the bonnet on, should I do them in chrome or black? Let me know your thoughts. I'm at the stage where it can be done, so let me know your thoughts, and we'll see. I'm edging towards chrome, but you let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you probably in a couple of days for the last part of this, and I'll catch you all soon. Have a good day. Bye-bye.